You wake up tired, not from sleep deprivation, not from hard work. You wake up tired because somewhere between yesterday morning and right now, your mind was in 10 different places that had nothing to do with your actual life. Someone said something, you replayed it. A conversation you didn't ask for pulled you in. A headline grabbed your attention. An argument that had nothing to do with you made you feel something anyway. And now, here you are, lying still in the dark, already drained before the day has even started. That is not weakness. That is what happens when a man has never been taught to protect the one thing nobody can give him back: his energy. Not the physical kind, something deeper. The mental clarity that allows a man to think, to choose, to remain himself when the world around him is constantly trying to turn him into a mirror of its own chaos. Marcus Aurelius, a man who ruled an empire, commanded armies, buried children, survived betrayal, and endured relentless political pressure, understood something that most men today never will. He wrote about it quietly, for himself, never intending the world to read it. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He wasn't writing a philosophy book. He was writing a survival manual for himself. And somehow, 2,000 years later, it reads like it was written for you. Here is what no one tells you about the modern world. It is not designed to help you think clearly. It is designed to fragment you. Every notification, every argument, every piece of noise disguised as content, it is all competing for the same finite resource inside you: your focused attention, your calm, your presence. And most men hand it over without realizing they're doing it. You check your phone before your feet hit the floor. You absorb someone else's panic before you've had a single thought of your own. By 9 in the morning, you've already been pulled into 3 emotional directions you didn't choose. By afternoon, you're irritable without knowing why. By evening, you're numb. You scroll not because you're curious, but because you're already too depleted to do anything else. This is not a character flaw. This is what happens to a man who has never drawn a line between what belongs inside him and what doesn't. Most men never realize they are not just tired, they are infiltrated. Other people's anxieties live inside their heads. Other people's problems have taken up residence in their nervous system. They are running on energy that isn't even theirs anymore, responding to emergencies that have nothing to do with their actual life. And the terrifying part? It happens slowly. So slowly that by the time you notice, it feels normal. The man you were, the one with clarity, with patience, with a quiet sense of direction, he didn't disappear. He was just slowly bled out by 1,000 small surrenders, none of which seemed significant at the time. The Stoics had a word for the place inside you that governs thought, perception, and choice. They called it the Hegemonikon, the ruling faculty, the command center of the self. Marcus Aurelius returned to it again and again in his private writings, not as a philosophical concept, but as a place he was actively trying to guard. He understood something viscerally that modern psychology is only beginning to articulate: that the mind is not infinitely elastic, that attention is not free, that every time you allow the external world to dictate your internal state, you are weakening the very faculty that allows you to live with intention. He wrote, "The things you think about determine the quality of your mind." Read that again slowly. Not the things that happen to you, the things you think about, the things you allow to occupy space inside you, the conversations you replay, the people you give mental real estate to long after they've left the room, the problems you rehearse instead of solve, the noise you voluntarily carry into silence. Marcus was surrounded by noise,
Political conspiracies, military campaigns, senators who despised him, a co-emperor who undermined him, plague, war, grief. He had every reason to be consumed by the chaos around him. Instead, he made a daily practice, a discipline, not a feeling, of returning to himself. That is what protecting your energy actually means. Not isolation, not indifference, not building walls so high that nothing can touch you. It means cultivating the deliberate, practiced ability to decide what enters your mind, what you respond to, and what you simply allow to pass.
There is a moment, and if you've experienced it, you know exactly what this feels like, where you're in the middle of an argument or a spiral of overthinking or absorbing some piece of drama that has nothing to do with your life. And somewhere underneath all of it, a quiet voice says, "This is not mine." That voice is not weakness. That is not you running from something. That is the deepest part of you recognizing that your attention is sacred and something unworthy of it has wandered in. Most men ignore that voice. They've been conditioned to believe that engagement is strength, that silence is avoidance, that not reacting means you don't care. So they stay in the argument, they keep scrolling, they keep lending their mind to people and things that will never return it whole. But the man who has studied himself, who has sat quietly enough to know the difference between a thought that belongs to him and a thought that was handed to him by the chaos outside, that man begins to make a different choice. He doesn't fight the noise. He doesn't announce his withdrawal. He simply stops feeding what doesn't deserve to be fed. That is where the transformation begins, not in a dramatic moment, in a quiet one.
Imagine a man. Call him what you want, because in some form, he is you. He's in his mid-30s, successful enough, functional. But underneath the routine, he's exhausted in a way he can't explain to anyone. Every relationship drains him. Every social interaction leaves him feeling slightly less like himself. He reacts to everything, texts, headlines, offhand comments, with an urgency that doesn't match the actual stakes. One evening, after a pointless argument with someone he barely respects, he sits alone in his car in a parking lot, rain on the windshield, the city lights blurred and distant, and he realizes something that stops him cold. He has been available to everyone. He has given his time, his reaction, his emotional presence to anyone who asked for it, and to many who didn't even ask. He has been porous, and in being porous, he has let the worst of the world seep into the best parts of him. He doesn't change overnight, but that night, he begins something small. He stops responding to things that don't require his response. He stops entertaining conversations that drain without returning. He starts treating his mornings, those first quiet hours, as protected ground. No phone, no input, no noise that he hasn't chosen. Within weeks, something shifts. Not his circumstances, not the people around him, just the quality of his inner silence. The clarity that comes when a man stops letting the world think for him. He doesn't become cold, he becomes deliberate. And that deliberateness, that slow, quiet insistence on preserving what is his, that is the closest thing to power a man can possess. This is where philosophy must become practice, because wisdom that stays inside a book changes nothing. Begin in the morning. Before you reach for your phone, before the world has any access to you, give yourself 20 minutes of undisturbed interior silence. Not meditation in the performative sense, just stillness. Let your own thoughts surface before someone else's get there first. Marcus called this the morning review, a moment of grounding in what actually matters before the day pulls you in every direction. Then learn to pause before you respond to anything, a message, an argument, a piece of news. The Stoics called this the pause of the rational faculty, the deliberate breath between stimulus and reaction. 1 second. That 1 second is the difference between a man who is controlled and a man who controls himself. Start noticing where your energy goes without your conscious decision. The people you feel tense around, the topics you can't let go of, the conversations that replay for hours. These are leaks, not enemies, leaks. And you don't have to be dramatic about closing them. You just have to stop opening them wider. And finally, protect your silence as if it is the most valuable thing you own, because it is. The quiet man in a noisy world is not checked out. He is fully present to himself. That is a form of discipline that most people will never understand and cannot take from you. The man who guards his energy is not cold. He is not distant. He is not building walls because he is afraid of the world. He has simply decided, quietly, firmly, without needing anyone's permission, that his mind belongs to him. He watches the chaos without entering it. He hears the noise without absorbing it. He exists in rooms full of urgency and remains, somehow, unhurried. Not because life has become easy, but because he has stopped making it harder by surrendering himself to every demand placed upon him. Marcus Aurelius ruled the most powerful empire in the known world. He had access to everything, and what he returned to every morning in private was the practice of protecting his own mind from the things that would consume it without his consent. You do not need an empire to make this choice. You need only the recognition that your attention is not free, that it costs something every time you give it, and that the quality of your entire life is determined by what you decide is worthy of it. The world will keep being loud. People will keep needing things. Drama will always find a door. None of that changes, but you can change what you open the door to. And the day you stop answering every knock, the day you sit in the quiet of your own mind and choose deliberately what enters, that is the day you stop being drained by the world and start being built by your own interior silence. That is the life of a man who understands what Marcus understood, that nothing outside him has the power to reach inside him without his permission. Guard it like the emperor you are.